Hey, I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for UFC Fight Night 93, Arlovski versus Barnett, which happens on September 3rd on Fight Pass. But before I get into that, I'd like to plug my own author's website at www.chrismaldon.com. I am an author specializing in the fantasy genre, and you can check out some of my works, starting with my first novel, an action adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99 on my website at www.chrismaldon.com on PDF format, or if you have an e-reader like a Kindle, you can buy it for $4.99 on Amazon.com. Also, for just $1.99 on my website or on Amazon.com, you can check out some of my short stories and short story collections, starting with the fantasy horror short story Land of the Wooden Statues, which I'm trying to make into a novel. The horror collection, which is a collection of 3 of my gothic horror short stories, and my fantasy fable collection, which is a collection of 4 of my fantasy fable short stories. So on to this card. I really like that main event. I have wanted to see Arlovski versus Barnett since they were supposed to fight in Affliction. It is very surprising that these two have never fought each other until now. They've been around the game around the same time. Circumstances just made it where they uh, couldn't fight each other. Either they're in like different organizations. Uh, they were unable to fight each other during that Strikeforce tournament. Um, or just some other weird like circumstance. Alexander Gustafsson also fights on this card. Bader, he's fighting Latifi. That's a pretty good fight. Um, Not much in the way of prospects. I mean, there's some new heavyweights like Christian Colombo, Jack the Joker Hermansson versus Scott Askham is actually a pretty good fight. Good middleweight fight. Khabilov's fighting. That's pretty cool. Briones versus Pickett should be fun. Got a women's fight here. You do have a prospect in Veronica Macedo. She's only 20 years old. She's fighting Ashlee Evans-Smith, who I'd still consider a prospect herself. I think Smith's only like 4-1. She doesn't have a lot of fights. Taylor Lapilus, good prospect right there. Jessin Ayari, he's a 24-year-old prospect, not too bad. And then you have some UFC newcomers like, besides Ayari, Wallhead, you have Bushcamp and Enland. So, there's a mix of like vets, a couple of guys with some name, a couple prospects in here. Most of them are going to be like international prospects and whatnot. Let's get started. Okay, in the main event, Andrei the Pitbull Arlovski fights Josh the War Master Barnett. Barnett, 34-8 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 20 wins by sub. That's those 2 losses by KO or TKO and 3 losses by sub. 38 years old, he's 6'3", and he's trading losses and wins. His base is in catch wrestling. I believe his last loss was he got subbed by Rothwell. Yeah. But catch wrestling base. So one thing about Barnett, when he gets on top of you, I mean, he's putting his like forearm in your throat or your face. He actually has a leg lock game. So pretty good submission grappling game. I won't say BJJ per se. Catch wrestling. It's like a submission grappling type of art that has a few differences from say like pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But Barnett also has a really strong clinch game. He wants his fight against Roy Nelson. Primarily fought in the clinch, and he showed some pretty strong clinch striking. His overall wrestling's good. His top control is really good. His stand-up's actually not too bad. His overall stand-up is, more than serviceable. I'd say it's good. He does hit relatively hard. He's not lost in the stand-up at all. When he actually throws a jab, like when he's like fighting Rothwell, when he actually threw a jab, It's actually connecting quite a bit. And Barnett, for the most part, has shown a pretty good chin. Arlovski, 25-12 record with 1 no contest, 17 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 9 losses by KO or TKO. 37 years old, he's 6'4", on a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to now champ Stipe Miocic and the guy who's going to fight Stipe, Alistair Overeem. Both of them were knockout losses. Trains out of Jackson Winklejohn. He is a former UFC heavyweight champion. Same with Barnett, actually. He's a former UFC heavyweight champion. Arlovski is a good boxer, but he is just right-hand dominant. There are times he will just not throw his left hand, but he's actually gotten good with what he has. His overall takedown defense actually isn't that bad. His chin, though, it's a bit questionable. He gets hit with a hard shot, and he does tend to fall down or get quite wobbled from the first good shot he gets. A lot of times these days, he's been dropped actually by Mir. Of course, there's Overeem, Stipe, so that's not good. Chins don't actually get better, they get worse. Tough one to call. At range, I favor Arlovski, but with Barnett, if he can get into the clinch especially, I can see him doing very well. I can see him just wearing down Arlovski and working some dirty boxing, the knees from the clinch and whatnot. I think Barnett overall is probably the better clinch fighter, arguably the better wrestler. Because Arlovski's not actually a bad wrestler. I want to even say he has he might even have a sambo base if I'm not mistaken. He just never uses it. But Barnett seems to be a guy that kind of has established skill set in most areas of the game, and he's pretty good at each area of the game. Arlovski's pretty much just a striker, a sprawling brawler, a striker with good takedown defense. So with that said, with the diversity and the ability to mix it up more, I gotta go with Josh Barnett to win this one. I don't know if I want to really play it safe and go by decision. You know what? I'll go knockout. I'll go Josh Barnett by knockout. Like I said, it doesn't help Arlovski that he's been knocked out in his last 2 fights, and even the fight before that he got dropped. If that was indeed the Mir fight, I'm not too sure. So it doesn't help Arlovski's chin. Barnett, he's not a knockout artist per se, but he is a guy that can wear a guy down. And if this goes 5 rounds, also that, in my opinion, that favors Barnett because 2 fights ago he went 5 rounds with Roy Nelson. So yeah, I'll go flyer here with Josh Barnett by KO or TKO. Or a flyer. I'll just go with Josh Barnett by KO or TKO. I don't know why I said flyer. Next fight after that, Jan Blachowicz fights Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson. Blachowicz. Oh, isn't it Blachowicz? Yeah, Blachowicz. 19-5 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub. 33 years old, 6'2". Stand-up's average. He has a good kicking game. Obviously, he has a really good win over Ilir Latifi where he beat him with a body kick and follow up ground and pound. His overall grappling game's pretty average, though. He has some offensive takedown ability. There's that one fight very recently that he won, if I'm not mistaken. Forgot the guy's name, but he actually reverted to more of a grappling-oriented game plan after brawling with his opponent, whose name escapes me at the moment. But his grappling's alright. He's not that great off his back. I mean, he'll throw up a sub here and there. It's kind of predictable. But, yeah, he's not the greatest off his back, though. Alexander Gustafsson, 16-4 record, 10 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. 29 years old. He's 6'4" on a 2-fight losing streak. Those losses are to Rumble and Cormier, right? Yeah, Rumble and Cormier. He trains out of All Stars and Alliance. Gustafsson, strong kickboxer, real heavy-handed, got a good chin. Actually has some good knees. Knocked out Manawa with some knees. His takedown defense is actually quite solid. He's a guy that's hard to take down and hard to keep down. You can watch his fights against Cormier and Jones to see that like he doesn't get taken down that easily, and he doesn't stay down that easily. His overall grappling is pretty good. You know, he has some sub victories. His offensive takedown ability is one of the most underrated things about Gustafsson. He's taken down John Jones, and he even took down Daniel Cormier too. He just has. He's not a. It's not like he has this like great technique, but he has really good timing with his takedowns. So he always has that in his back pocket. If like the striking isn't working for him, or for whatever reason he wants to mix it up, he can. He has shown that he will go to his takedown game, which is heavily underrated. With that said, I mean, in my opinion, Gustafsson beats Blachowicz in pretty much all areas. You know, wrestling, BJJ, striking. So I'm going to go with Alexander Gustafsson to win this one. I'll go by KO or TKO. What the heck? Yeah, I'll go by KO or TKO. I do see a finish. Gustafsson's actually a relatively potent finisher. You know, 13 of his 16 wins are by finish. And, I mean, he's dropped guys like Cormier. He had a war with John Jones. That was awesome. So, yeah, Alexander Gustafsson by KO or TKO. So after that, Ryan Darth Bader fights Ilir the Sledgehammer Latifi. Latifi 12-4 record with 1 no contest, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO. 33 years old. He's 5'8" on a 3-fight win streak. One thing about Latifi, and this actually goes with Bader too, the guy is so strong. Guy is like massively powerful. I think there's like photos or videos of him benching some like huge amount or doing some squat or some sort of like strength test and to prove that he's really strong. His overall wrestling's pretty good. His clinch takedown ability isn't too bad. His stand-up's average. He's really short, but the guy is he's heavy-handed, and he actually has a strong leg kick game too, and his ground and pound isn't too bad. Ryan Bader, 20-5 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. That's his 3 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. 33 years old, he's 6'2", trains out of Power MMA. He's an Ultimate Fighter winner. A strong wrestler. He likes to grind up against the cage. He's actually not too. He's good at completing takedowns against the cage as well. His ground and pound's good. It's busy. It's very constant. His overall top control is good. His overall stand-up's good too. You know, he'll throw. He'll mix in his strikes with his kicks and whatnot. Put out a jab. It's actually just. He has a pretty solid, well-rounded skill set. You know, I always tend to underestimate Ryan Bader. At this point, it's like anyone who's not in the top 4, I'll probably not pick, like, or top 5, like Glover, Rumble, Gustafsson, Cormier, Jones. Unless it's one of those 5 guys. I'll pretty much pick Ryan Bader to win at this point. And he's more or less shown to be able to beat just everyone outside of the top 5. Even if you rematch someone like Glover Teixeira, I can actually see him winning. But the thing with Latifi, though, is it's an interesting stylistic matchup, and I'm not super confident in this pick. Because Latifi's also just a really strong guy, really heavy-handed. Kind of a low output striker though. He doesn't throw very much, whereas Bader is a bit. He's definitely the busier fighter. He'll put more volume out there. He'll grind up against the cage a lot. Can get you down. He has some pretty like constant ground and pound. So with that said, I'll go with Ryan Bader to win this one. I think he's the better technical striker. I think he'll put more volume than Latifi. I think the thing with Latifi's got to watch out for is just his power. Like if he throws some like big overhand or something like that, it could potentially put Bader down. I'd even argue that Bader's probably the better wrestler than Latifi as well. So yeah, Ryan Bader by decision. I don't see a knockout or a sub happening, so yeah, I'll go by decision here. Next fight after that, the supernatural Hyun fights Sergeant Nick Hein. Nick Hein, 13-2 record with 1 no contest. 1 win by TKO, 4 wins by sub. 32 years old, he's 5'8", on a 2-fight win streak, trains out of Tiger Muay Thai. Last fought in September of 2015. I think he was coming off a very severe injury. I mean, it was actually like a life-threatening injury, if I'm not mistaken, from what I read. I forgot what it was though, but I just remember reading like an article about it somewhere or an interview where he just mentioned like he had been to hospital and whatnot. It's like a really bad injury. So he's coming back from that. He does have a judo base. He's hard to take down. He will go for his own offensive takedowns if they're there. But for the most part, Nick Hein is showing to be more of he's striking a lot more with his opponent. One of his biggest problems, though, is you would think he'd be a heavy-handed guy, but he has shown not to be particularly heavy-handed. And 5 of his 13 wins are by 5 of his wins are by finish. But out of 13, that means what? He has like 8 decisions. He's just not a finisher. But he does have good volume. He throws pretty well. He moves a lot better now too. Bong, 18-9 record, 9 wins by KO TKO, 9 wins by decision. That's his 3 losses by sub. 33 years old. He's 5'9". Trains out of the Korean top team. Trading wins and losses right now. He's pretty much a heavy-handed brawler. His technique isn't very good, but he throws hard. He's very resilient. He's got a relatively good chin. His takedown defense actually isn't very good. He's a really strong guy, though. And his cardio is actually quite terrible. It's just not very good. Part of it is because he doesn't fight in an economic way. He's throwing like really hard shots. And like I said, his takedown defense isn't very good. So he'll be in like some sort of prolonged grappling exchange and whatnot. Saps his cardio. With that said, like I can see Bong, maybe getting that home run shot on Nick Hein. But for the most part, I see Hein just using his movement, boxing from the outside, throwing combinations, connecting with Bong. And just, I can actually see him just cruise to a decision victory. So after that, Nicolas sharpshooter Dalby fights Peter Sobotta. Peter Sobotta, 15-5 record with 1 draw, 4 wins by KO TKO, 10 wins by sub. 29 years old, he's 6 foot. Sobotta's a good grappler. His offensive takedown ability is not too bad, and his back control is. He's really good at taking back and keeping back control and getting that choke. That's a lot of his wins are actually by doing that. His stand-up's average, it's not bad. Obviously, Kyle Noke, got that front kick to the body. It caused him to leap in the air and more or less crumble. But otherwise, it's not a particular strength of his, but it's not a particular weakness of his either. Nicolas Dalby, 14-1 record with 1 draw, 4 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. 31 years old, he's 5'11", trains out of Rumble Sports. Dalby's stand-up is good. He kind of has this, like, I want to say it's like almost karate-ish. He uses a lot of movement. He uses a lot of combinations. He's pretty high volume, but he's just not heavy-handed at all. But his overall grappling's good too. His offensive takedown ability is good. He's good on the ground. His takedown defense isn't too bad. So one loss is by Zach Cummings. Dalby was getting countered just like all day and dropped. But he wouldn't stay down. You know, the guy's resilient and got a good chin on him. Tough one to call, actually. Because I like Peter Sobotta's just overall game. He's pretty good. But I think him winning is predicated on whether he can like get the fight to. In my opinion, if he can get the fight to the ground and maybe even take the back, I just don't see that happening. I like Dalby here, just to use more combinations, a little more volume than Sobotta, and just chip away, not to finish, because like I said, Dalby's just not a potent finisher though. Sobotta is actually. He's only been in his wins. He's only been to decision once, but yeah, I'll go with Dalby. I think he can defend takedowns too, and he's good on the ground as well. And then, like I said, high volume striker. So I'll go Nicolas Dalby to win this one by decision. Next fight after that, Jarjis Man Mountain Danho fights Christian Colombo. Colombo 8-1 record, 6 wins by KO Tico, 2 wins by decision. He's 6'5" on a 6-fight win streak. Trains out of Combat Sports Academy. It's over here, actually, in Northern California, right? There's a couple fighters. I know a couple like women fighters that train out there. Totally forgot their names though. Among others, it's his first fight in the UFC, so I want some video of him. I like this stand-up. I actually thought it wasn't that bad. His overall boxing game wasn't too bad. His clinch striking looked pretty good. He threw some knees from the inside that didn't look too bad, and his grappling, I saw a little bit of it. It's average, I don't think it's that great, but I don't think it's that bad. Who did I see him fight? I want to say I saw him fight, was it Pesta? I haven't seen like recent footage of his. I saw him fight Pesta, and I saw like another one of his older fights. Like I said, his technique didn't look that bad for a heavyweight. Pesta managed to beat him up though. Danho 6-1 record with 1 no contest, 4 wins by KO Tico, 2 wins by sub. 32 years old. He's 6'3". He is a finisher. With Danho, he's an inside striker. He likes to box from the inside. He likes to clinch strike from the inside. He's not much of a range striker. He's more of an inside striker. His offensive takedown ability is not too bad. I believe the guy was a power lifter, and you can tell like everything. A lot of things he does is predicated more on strength than technique. You can even see that with his takedown ability. It's more strength than technique. His cardio is not very good. When he fought Daniel Omyanchuk recently, he looked pretty bad actually. This one's really tough to call just because it's low-level heavyweights. And I don't trust both of their gas tanks. Danho's, I really don't trust to look that good past the first set, 1.5 rounds. Colombo, he seemed to have a better stand-up technique. I want to say he might even have a kickboxing background. So on a technical level, standing, he's better than Danho. In the clinch, I'd probably favor Danho, and once again, he might even be able to get takedowns Colombo. It's tough to say, but I mean, honest, like just from a technical standpoint, there's nothing from Danho I've seen that's particularly impressed me, and his gas tank isn't that good. like I said, more strength than technique. Colombo has a little more technique in the stand-up. So I'm going to go Christian Colombo to win this one. I'll even go by KO or TKO because he's a 6'5". His striking's not too bad. Danho's a guy who can fade. But like I said, it's low-level heavyweights. I am not confident in picking this one because it's Colombo's first fight in the UFC. I can't even speak for his cardio if it's that good or not. And it's heavyweight. It's heavyweight can be crazy like that. So I go Christian Colombo by KO or TKO. Not too confident in that pick though. Next up that Scott Askham fights Jack the Joker Hermansson. Scott Askham, 14-2 record, 9 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. 28 years old, he's 6'3". Trading wins and losses. Most recently, didn't he get that head kick knockout over Dempsey, right? Strong clinch. This guy's knees are fight ending. He has good kicks. But relatively good kicks, but he's weak at boxing range. I remember when Krzysztof Jotko was just moving around, beating him up at range quite easily. His overall grappling looks to be improving quite a bit. I remember that he was actually going for his own offensive takedowns and whatnot. But yeah, Scott Askham's strength, in my opinion, is more inside, especially with the knees and the clinch and whatnot. Hermansson, 13-2 record, 8 wins by KO TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 28 years old. He's 6'1" and an 8-fight win streak. His first fight in the UFC. I actually watched one of his most previous fights. I like his boxing. He actually has a solid. He uses a solid jab. He moves around a lot. His wrestling's average. He has some offensive takedown ability. And his overall grappling, average. It didn't look particularly great to me, but it didn't look like a liability to me. This fight is tough to call. Both the guys are 28 years old. They both have very similar records. Scott Askham 14-2, Hermansson 13-2. I went kind of back and forth with this one too. Not super confident in my pick here, but I'm leaning Hermansson here. That range striking, it's just Hermansson's better at boxing at range, and Scott Askham, for whatever reason, is really bad there. I mean, just really bad. He's getting on the inside. I don't know if Hermansson's going to let him in the inside because he uses a good amount of movement. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this fight, if Hermansson wins, if he wins, right? Wouldn't surprise me if it looked similar to that Krzysztof Jotko fight, where it's just beating them up at range, throwing hands, and keeping Askham at range with Askham trying to get on the inside, but kind of unable to, because he doesn't necessarily move well. Askham, though, heavy hitter, really, like I said, fight-ending knees. Got that head kick in his last fight, really awesome head kick. So he's a good striker himself, and quite heavy-handed. But, I'll go Jack Hermansson to win this one. Hermansson both these guys are potent finishers. Scott Askham, though, he's pretty tough. I'll go Jack Hermansson by decision. Once again, not super confident in that pick, though. As far as that, Rustam Tiger Khabilov fights Leandro, I have to pronounce it, I'll just say Buscape Silva. Silva, 19-4 record with 1 draw and 1 no contest. 1 win by TKO, 10 wins by sub, 30 years old. He's 5'10", trains out of ATT. He's big for 155 and a BJJ black belt. He actually has some pretty good back control if he can get that. His stand-up's average, but it's real low volume. Like sometimes he'll sit there and just move his head, and like guys are punching him, he moves his head, and he doesn't really counter back. It's a real low volume striker, and his offensive takedown ability isn't too bad, but it's not great either. Uh, Silva's problem has always been um, offense. It's just he doesn't always commit to a lot of offense. That's his problem. That's kind of why I thought he lost his last fight too. He just doesn't commit to offense all the time. Khabilov, 19-3 record, 4 wins by KO Tico, 5 wins by sub. 29 years old. He's 5'10" on a 2-fight win streak. Trains out of Jackson Winklejohn. He's got a sambo base, really good slams, particularly good clinch takedowns, good ground and pound. His stand-up's actually not too bad, but it's not great. It's that typical like sambo style stand-up of like loopy punches that are surprisingly accurate. And then he'll go for like he even goes for like a wheel kick every once in a while too. I actually hit Masvidal really hard with one time when they fought. I gotta go with Rustam Khabilov to win this one. Uh, Leandro Silva, he's not much of a stand-up threat. I mean, I remember when Khabilov lost to like Adriano Martins, but yeah, Martins is actually a standing threat, big for the weight class, and hits really hard, along with actually just having good takedown defense and being good on the ground. Uh, the difference with Leandro Silva, though, is he's not much of a standing threat. He hasn't shown to be that heavy hitter. Probably not even as good of a wrestler as like Adriano Martins, who beat Khabilov. Um, I, I feel there's some similarity there, but not enough. Um, but it kind of ends with both them being like huge Brazilian guys. Khabilov, I think he can get inside. I think he can get takedowns on Silva. I really do. Standing, they're both pretty low volume, but I'd actually go with Khabilov a little bit there. If Khabilov can get the back standing, the guy's going for a ride. He does that to every opponent. So, yeah, I'll go through some Khabilov. I think he get the necessary takedowns and ground and pound, and do well enough on the feet too. So, Rustam Khabilov I'll go by decision. Next right off that, Henry Briones fights Brad One Punch Pickett. Briones, 16-5 record with 1 draw, 8 wins by KO Tico, 6 wins by sub. He's 5'7", last fought in July of 2015. So I didn't rewatch the Cody Garbrandt fight because like there wasn't much to take away from there. I actually rewatched his Guido Canetti fight. I mean, he's kind of a brawler. Like, his boxing's more of a brawling style than like a real technician style. In that fight, at least. His grappling looked average, and then looked bad, but not that great either. I remember when he fought Garbrandt, he just didn't seem very capable of much. Doesn't help that he fought, like, last time he fought was last year. Brad Pickett, 25-11 record, 7 wins by KO Tico, 10 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO Tico and 4 losses by sub. 37 years old. He's 5'6", trains out of ATT. He's only won 3 of his last 8 bouts. Most recently beating Francisco Rivera in a fight I don't think he should actually got out to win in. Super aggressive. He is a brawler. His grappling game is like very underrated. His offensive wrestling's not too bad. His Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills are actually quite strong. His stand-up defense has always been quite terrible, and it's slowly but surely starting to catch up to him. He's a guy that does get dropped quite a bit now, and has actually just gotten like flat knocked out a couple times here and there. Couple years ago, I would have been extremely confident in picking Pickett. Now, it's just one of those things. His chin's not as good, and I think that striking wise, Pickett and Briones might invite the same type of fight. They might invite the brawls. And I don't know if at this point that favors Pickett. So that's why I'm also a bit hesitant to pick Pickett. One thing that Pickett does have going for him, if he utilizes it, is his grappling. He has a very underrated grappling game. He's good on the ground. Not a bad wrestler. You gotta remember that this is one of the only guys. Is he the only guy that beat Demetrius? No, he's one of the only guys that beat Demetrius Johnson, primarily by taking him down all the time. And like I said, he has a pretty strong BJJ game as well. Uh, what scares me in this fight once again is if they invite the brawl. I don't think Pickett wins. I'd be hesitant to pick Pickett winning that if it does turn into like a big brawl, but that's what Pickett likes to do. But with that said, I'm not particularly impressed with Henry Briones. He didn't even look that good against Guido Canetti, and then he fought Garbrandt. Yeah, right. Yeah, he fought Garbrandt. Didn't look good there. So it's like, it's really up in the air, like how good this guy really is at this point of the game. I'll go Brad Pickett. I'm hopeful that he'll utilize his grappling. And you know what? I'll even go Brad Pickett to win this one by submission. Next fight after that, Ashlee Evans-Smith fights Veronica Macedo. Macedo, 5-0, undefeated record, 1 win by TKO, 1 win by sub. She's only 20 years old, but she's 5'3". She's not very big for the weight class. I'll say this right now though. She's very marketable. So, the PC way of saying something else. She's very marketable though. She's taking this fight on short notice, and it's her first fight in the UFC. So I actually watched 2 of her fights. Her setup's not as bad as I thought it'd be. I don't know. For some reason, I don't know what her base is. I should have actually probably read up on it somewhere, but I was thinking maybe she has a karate background or something. Because she flicks out the jab, she'll use a side kick, she'll move around a good amount of times. So her setup actually didn't look that bad. And her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, they're alright. She won her last fight by heel hook. And fight I thought she was losing because her takedown defense looked terrible. She fought someone in her last fight and just got almost taken down at will. Was kept on her back quite a bit until in the 3rd round she got this heel hook. Another fight I saw her in. No, that's the only fight I saw her in, right? Yeah, I think that's the only fight I saw her in. But it was her most previous fight. Ashlee Evans-Smith, 4-1 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by decision, 29 years old, she's 5'8". She is big for 135 and has missed weight for 135. Remember, she got caught for a diuretic too, which helps with weight cutting. Like I said, big for the weight class. She trains out a sub fighter just down the street from me. I actually know some people that train with her. Her wrestling is good, and her ground and pound's pretty solid too. Her stand-up's average. In her last fight, where she fought Marion Renault, she did get. I thought Marion Renault should have gotten the win there because Evans-Smith was she dropped or at least wobbled in that fight. But her stand-ups didn't look that bad, but it's not that great either. And her cardio just isn't very good. I would assume that's attributed to the weight cut. With that said, this is Macedo looks like she can cut. She looks like a 125er. Maybe at 5'3", she might even be able to cut to 115. Ashlee Evans-Smith has fought at 145 and does not look undersized there, and she's pretty big at 135. You're gonna see this is going to look like two fighters from two different weight classes. Evan Smith's a good wrestler. Macedo did not look like she had good takedown defense. I like Evan Smith's ground and pound. It's pretty good. So yeah, and Macedo, unless she gets like some last minute, but you know, even with Macedo, it's like she only has one win by sub, and it was that heel hook in a fight she was, in my opinion, losing until she got that in the third round. So I think Evan Smith can avoid that. So Ashlee Evan Smith to win that one. I'll even go by K or TKO by ground and pound. Next right after that, Leandro Brodino Issa fights Taylor Double Impact Lapilus. Lapilus, 10-2 record, 1 win by TKO, 6 wins by sub, 24 years old, he's 5'6", trains out of MMA Factory with the likes of top heavyweight prospect Francis Ngannou. Lapilus, good kickboxer, solid combinations, takedown defense actually isn't too bad, and his overall grappling game is improving. He's fighting Leandro Issa, has a 13-5 record, 1 win by TKO, 9 wins by sub. Has his 2 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 32 years old. He's 5'6". Trains out of Evolve MMA, and he last fought in August of 2015. Was that against Alcantara? Might have been. He is a BJJ black belt, and pretty good one too. He's really good at taking the mount or taking the back at passing. His offensive takedown ability isn't too bad. His stand-up isn't that good at all, though. Stand-up defense is pretty bad, and his cardio is a bit questionable. Issa does have that way of winning if he can get the fight to the ground. My thing is, though, is that Lapilus' takedown defense is pretty good, and his range strikings should be a lot better than Issa. And then Issa's cardio isn't very good. So if this goes to later rounds, I had to favor Lapilus there as well. Save for Lapilus making some bad decision, like he did in his fight against Goyito, where he went for a guillotine when he probably should have stuck with range striking. I got Taylor Lapilus winning this one. It's kind of funny when he has one TKO. His kickboxing skills are actually quite sharp. And he beat up that one Yuta Sasaki, Oka Sasaki. I can actually see Lapilus getting a KO or TKO. So, you know what? I'll go Taylor Lapilus to keep this fight standing. Wear down Issa for the KO or TKO victory. So, Taylor Lapilus, KO or TKO. Next fight after that, Jessin Abacus Ayari fights Judo Jim Wallhead. Ayari, 15-3 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 8 wins by sub. Has 2 losses by KO or TKO, 24 years old, he's 6 foot, on a 6-fight win streak. It's his first fight in the UFC. His stand-up's good, but he's more of the type of guy that flurries on his opponents. His leg kicks actually aren't too bad. I saw one of his fights. There's a recent one too. His knees and elbows actually didn't look too bad. His grappling's just average. Jim Wallhead, 29-9 record, 11 wins by KO or TKO, 10 wins by sub. Has 2 losses by KO or TKO, 3 losses by sub. 32 years old, he's 5'10", on a 4-fight win streak. Trains out of London Shoot Fighters, same gym as Michael Venom Page. It's his first fight in the UFC also. Stand-up's average. I actually watched his most recent fight, but his stand-up defense just isn't very good. I mean, this guy, I saw him got blown out by Danny Roberts as well, or I believe Roberts knocked him out too. Wallhead's offensive takedown ability is good. His ground and pound's good. His overall grappling's not too bad. His stand-up's not terrible. Offensively, it's not that bad, and he is actually shown to be relatively heavy-handed. But defensively, it's just not that good either. Tough fight to call just because they're both new to the UFC. One guy's 24 with 18 fights. I don't know if you can still call that a prospect or not. I guess you can call him prospect, but Wallhead's been, I mean, 29-9 record, 32 years old. He's quite a veteran. You know, he's been around the game for a while. I'll go with the younger fighter here. He might be able to get some good flurries in here. Ayari's not that bad on the ground too. But once again, it's really tough to say. UFC, two guys new to the UFC. One's more veteran and has a lot more experience than the other, who has a good amount of experience actually. But I'll go Jessin Ayari to win this one. I'll just go by decision. And finally, Martin Bushkamp fights Alex Enlund. Bushkamp 9-0 undefeated record with 1 no contest, 7 wins by sub, 2 wins by decision. 25 years old, he's 5-9 on a 4-fight win streak. Trains at a Planet Eater with the likes of Peter Sobotta. It's his first fight in the UFC. He last fought in June of 2015. So all of his submission wins, all 7 of them, are by first round rear naked choke. I'm not too surprised by this, because one, Peter Sobotta is also a guy that, I guess, possible training partner, is a guy that, takes it back and gets that choke. I saw some of Bushkamp's fights, so I actually like what I saw. A strong Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills, good back control. He's a really good guard passer, though. I was pretty impressed with his guard passing when he hits the ground. His wrestling's actually pretty good. He actually has a pretty good double leg takedown. He times it pretty well, and it's pretty fast, too. His stand-up didn't look too bad. It looked average enough, Didn't look like a huge liability in the fight. I think I saw a pretty recent fight of his, actually, too. And his stand-up didn't look that bad. Alex Enlund, 14-2 record with 1 no contest, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 11 wins by sub. That's has 2 losses by sub, 29 years old, he's 5-9 on a 7-fight win streak, and his first fight in the UFC. I watched 2 of his fights too. I saw him fight Rafael Diaz, and I want to say it was most recent fight. His Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills are good. I liked his ground and pound. His boxing looked average, but he didn't seem to have, when he fought Rafael Diaz, there was actually one part of the fight where he was striking with his opponent, and he didn't seem to have an exit strategy, so he just stood there and just ate some hard shots that backed up Enlund. May have wobbled him too. So that doesn't speak well for stand-up defense. His takedown ability didn't look too bad. His clinch takedowns look pretty good. A lot of times he seemed to be the taller fighter. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. And that seems to have helped him quite a bit too. But if they're both 5'9", I don't know if that's actually going to help him. Tough one to call just because they're both new to the UFC and both relatively unproven. But from the video I saw, I kind of like Martin Bushkamp's game just a little more. It looked pretty solid. His offensive takedown ability looked pretty good. His guard passing was really good. Stand-up didn't look too bad. So, I'll go Martin Bushkamp to win by decision. Okay, to recap. I have Josh Barnett beating Andrei Arlovski by KO or TKO. Alexander Gustafsson beating Jan Blachowicz by KO or TKO. Ryan Bader over Ilir Latifi by decision. Nick Hein over Hyun Bang by decision. Nicolas Dalby over Peter Sobotta by decision. Christian Colombo over Jarjis Danho by KO or TKO. Jack Hermansson over Scott Askham by decision. Rustam Khabilov beating Leandro Silva by decision. Brad Pickett over Henry Briones by submission. Ashlee Evans-Smith beating Veronica Macedo by KO or TKO. Taylor Lapilus over Leandro Issa by KO or TKO. Jessin Ayari beating Jim Wallhead by decision. And Martin Bushkamp over Alex Enlund by decision. So that's it for my predictions for UFC Fight Night 93, Arlovski versus Barnett. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And please check out my website at www.chrismoldon.com. Buy some of my works, like The Mustard Prince in the Convict Kingdom, for $4.99 on my website or on Amazon.com. Or if you have, you can buy some of my short stories for $1.99, starting with The Land of the Wooden Statues, the Horror Collection, or my Fantasy Fable Collection. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.